Overall budget. So down in 2025. Okay. 16 years ago.
That's only if I get like that. Went to the chiropractor today. They couldn't get the one that I'm using. Didn't hook that when it's got almost and then it says, no, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay right here. Oops.
Are we supposed to say that? Oh, sorry. We can.
I'm still 2 hours behind.
What do you want?
This is Sunday, November 9th.
Josh graduated. Yeah.
Just got this. It's
Which is not.
I didn't even know about it because it was at my church. It says local fair. So I have no idea, but I did see Centerville in this.
It's Centerville, but this is the fair.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, everyone, and welcome to a regular meeting of the Goldendale City Council. Shelley, would you please take roll call?
Steve Johnson,
Present.
Leon Wheeler,
Here.
Lauren Weaver,
Present.
Harvey Casey, absent. Andy Holm,
Here.
Daniel Covenant,
Here.
Mylan Wallen.
Yes. Okay, thanks. Ellie emailed me about a week ago saying she wasn't gonna be available to make this meeting. Is there a motion to excuse Ellie? So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to excuse Ellie Casey. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thanks. All right. Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to make a public comment on items pertaining to our agenda today? Anybody on the line have their hands up? In the crowd? Okay, we'll move on to the next item, public hearing. The first item on D1 is public hearing on revenue sources. Attached, we have our 2026 revenue sources. And Sarah Kazmarek will be present for information. Hi, Sarah. Thank you.
Good evening. So in particular, we're here to talk about the levy. So we have some levy paperwork, and how this works is we get estimates from the county for the valuation of the properties in the city. And then we are allowed to increase kind of the assessment on that by 1% a year. And that's restricted by RCW code 84.55.010. And that's the revised code of Washington. So you basically get to increase the percentage of that by 1% a year. So that's about $10,671. And those are estimates provided by the county. The only other way that property tax increases is if you have additional revenue from increase in the valuation by adding new construction, improvements to property, if you annex a section and increase the size of the city. So we essentially take estimates from the county, and then we fill out this form and present it to the Washington State Department of Revenue. So that's kind of where the revenue is coming from that we're talking about on the levy. So there's an ordinance that we have to fill out, and those numbers come from the numbers provided to us by the county.
Great. Does anybody have any questions or comments in regards to the public hearing on revenue sources? And is there anybody in the public that would like to make a comment? on this public hearing? Anybody on the line that would like to make a comment?
No.
Okay, hearing none. Do we need a motion for that? No, we can just close the public hearing on the revenue sources. And now we'll open up the public hearing on the 2026 budget.
Mhm. So we presented the budget last time, so if anyone has any questions or concerned about that, I'm happy to answer any questions. In total, the expected revenues in our budget are about $8 million and the expected expenses are about 7.5 million. So we're anticipating a total kind of net surplus of about 583,000 for next year.
Does anybody on the council have any questions or comments?
Our last meeting, we brought up a topic that came up previously about increasing our budget to improve our maintenance at our parks. And we're still looking at a $20,000 cut to the parks budget, so I'm just curious where that stands, and if council still wants to improve our maintenance and operations at our local parks.
I understood from the last meeting, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm the other people also understood it this way. I thought that we were waiting to be told how much you're needing and to use for what for those from the Parks and Rec and the Public Works meeting.
Oh, I thought this was going back to the budget committee and there was gonna be an adjustment.
I thought that we were waiting for the adjustment until after we heard back so that we would know how much to try to budget in.
So this doesn't set it in stone, this just goes through the process, and we can always increase the budget at a later date. So-
Yeah, we
We
can do
can
a budget.
Yeah, budget amendment, yeah,
Alright.
yeah.
And for now or later, be good for an update on just that, the engineers' preliminary estimates of some of those projects we were talking about.
I talked to Dustin today. He hasn't quite got those ready yet, but I said, well, I want to meet up with him and the Parks Committee to go over those, but he hasn't completed that yet. Hopefully soon.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
better, because, you know, might be able to apply for grants or something too.
Yeah, well, that won't be until, we're not eligible for those until next year, but that's right around the corner. Yeah, yeah.
It's breathing down.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep leaning on it.
I will.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just to clarify, there's been no changes to this budget since we presented it last time at council.
Is there anybody from the public that would like to make a comment regarding our 2026 budget? Nobody on the line have their hand up and nobody in the room. Okay, yes, sir.
Clarification, you guys have a rainy day fund, and can you keep a rainy day fund?
We call it reserves.
Okay,
Yeah,
same thing.
yeah. Yeah, we make sure to keep as healthy reserves as we can. Yeah.
So as this is currently budgeted, your reserves or the cash amount for the city will increase by about 583,000 in 2026 as it's currently budgeted.
Okay, yes, Steve.
And that, you say it's going to increase, and that's just going to be what we end up in our reserve?
No, that's the total increase for the whole city. So that's across all your various funds. So you don't have a specific rainy day reserve. You have a public safety reserve, and then and that's going to increase by just about $1,000, and that's the only one that you call a reserve. But you have cash spread throughout your various funds, and in total for the city of Goldendale, that cash amount is going to increase by that 583,000. So you should be at about 4.2 million by the end of 2026.
But it is spread out, the increase in that revenue is spread out across the table. There's not just one particular big piece of pie.
Right. So the biggest piece of pie that you have at the city of Goldendale is going to be your water and sewer fund. So that is anticipated to increase about $428,000. So most of your reserves that you're going to increase are in that water sewer fund, partially because the plan is that you'd like to increase the cash reserves in that fund, because if you do have something that needs to be improved or maintenance, those are some big ticket items.
Thank you.
Didn't we also have some discussion about establishing a specific fund related to those ARPA funds? Or at least the savings from them, was that not implemented? Because it said there was no changes.
It was, I think she was just gonna put, in like parentheses, change that name, and I don't know if you did that or not.
I haven't done any changes, partially because we need to go back and figure out if there's any historical ways that you've spent that money. I don't know if you've spent some of it in parks or some of your other funds. So I can tell, how much you have for that amount, for those carryover reserves. But you don't have a specific fund set up for that. If you wanted to do so, you could look into creating a fund specifically for that.
My understanding is that's the direction we're going. Steve, yours, Bob?
Yes, yes.
And so can we still keep going in that direction and make that happen?
So we can account.
So that, those reserve funds, from what I understood, were the ones that you're talking about from the ARPA that are now like a little bit short of $1 million, correct?
Yeah, I know you meant.
Yeah.
900 and some odd dollars. And with that, from what I understood, we were waiting again on to see where you're wanting it for the parks, because that's what a few years back when we got the ARPA funds, from what I understood from you guys, is that was for the parks and for city projects, correct?
Yeah, but I don't think we were waiting to identify them, because they're like, it was uncertain where those funds were. It was like spread out, intermixed amongst all the different funds, and so we were gonna have a fund category that was specific to that, so we knew the exact amount.
Right. Originally, they were pretty restrictive. But then over time, those restrictions start getting eased up as far as allowing those funds to be used for different things.
We spent them,
Well, in a way.
correct, but the restrictions are all still there, and the way we spent it, we spent it on what it was allowed for.
Right.
But yes, we can separate those. We'll historically look back and see if there's any money that had been spent out of it. See if we can figure that out, because we weren't doing the budget then, Sarah and I weren't, so we can go back and look and then maybe put those in we can set up a bars number for that, couldn't we?
I thought that you had said, though, I'm sorry, I thought that you had said that you couldn't, it would be smarter for us not to actually have it earmarked for a specific, because then in case we needed it for something else, but to put it just to have it added to our quarterly saying, this is what it is, we had not used any of it.
I think what you were thinking of is we talked about you could move it into capital improvement, but right now in that Fund 107, that is your real estate excise tax, and that is restricted. So we talked about you could move it in there, but it would be difficult because you're basically commingling unrestricted and restricted funds. So you could start a new fund that would be unrestricted, and it's a managerial fund, and it would just roll up into your current expense or general fund as a way to track it. So essentially we could create a new fund in your financial software and track it in that manner.
That would be good.
That sounds good. Well, didn't we originally transfer or allocate half of it, 500,000, to law enforcement?
We did the whole thing in
The whole
law
thing.
enforcement salaries, because that's what you could spend it on.
Okay. So it's been spent,
Correct. And law enforcement salaries.
but that should have alleviated the general fund by $900,000 across the board.
That's also correct. So
That's
what
what
they
it did.
So they were restricted, and now those funds are unrestricted by doing it that way.
So we'll get a line item on that.
Yes, I'll work with Sarah and we'll get a line item, put that, and so there'll be a unrestricted funds, but it'll be a separate item.
Okay,
Thank you.
Gary, thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, because, well, excuse me, On page 13, on 26, summary budget, it's got ARPA funds, $18,072. Have no idea.
And expenses, or is that from last year's?
No, that's 26 budget summary,
At the bottom of the page,
bottom of the page, 13.
that's 24 actual.
Yeah, but 24, 5,100. And actual 24, 18,000. And 6,900 personal benefits, and that's all it is, and then it's like after that, I mean, that's.
Is that in your expenditures? So that's what we spent in each of those years on salaries. Cause we're not getting any more revenue on that. That was what we spent, on the, after, towards the end. That's what we spent on salaries for that year.
Out, that was the ARPA money that was spent on those funds,
Yes,
so it's fairly unrestricted then.
they're all unrestricted now.
Okay,
They were restricted, but you could spend it on police salary, which is where we spent the money on.
which, you know, we're all on board with that, it sounded like at that time, a good way to deal with that money.
Yes.
Sure.
Cause they were restricted to certain things and now we have it, that they're unrestricted.
But I keep coming back to the fact that it did alleviate the general budget by that much also,
Correct.
which is gonna get sucked up. So I hope, once we get these, the numbers for improvements for our parks are correct, the budget committee can be benevolent and helps out.
Love to, we need to know how much and what for, so we can.
Yeah, great.
We'll give you a wish list. Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments or questions? Nobody on the line? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing on the 2026 budget. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that's approval of the agenda and the consent agenda.
I move to approve the agenda and consent agenda.
I'll second it. Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve the agenda and the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that'll be department reports. And we'll start over here on this end with Fire Chief Noah Hall.
Mayor, I don't have anything in that.
Thank you, Fire Chief. Police Chief Mike Smith.
I'd like to one up him, but I got nothing.
Now, maybe we can have a little discussion about the flock camera and some of the concerns that me and myself and police chief met this morning about some concerns in other parts of the state and other counties with the flock camera system and where we stand on those concerns. And if the council hadn't known yet, maybe you could elaborate a little bit on that, Chief?
Yeah, apparently there was a big uproar with Community County, some other counties in our state. There was a court ruling that found that flock cameras are within the realm of public disclosure, which I already knew that. I made that very clear before we got the cameras.
Yep.
So I don't know what the big deal is with the discussion of agencies not wanting to disclose public with that. We do, it's just like our body cams, everything else, it's all, everything the police department has is public disclosure capable, so we're in last box and everybody should know that, and so we'll continue on like business as normal.
Yeah, we knew that going in, that everything that we do, the city government level, whether it's the police department or fire department, is prone to public records requests, and that's the whole point of being transparent.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the flock cameras, it's a license plate reader. It's the same thing if you go over a toll bridge, it's reading your license plate. That's how you go through a toll bridge without paying, and they'll know where you live. The difference is with the flock cameras, it takes a picture of the license plate. If somebody wants to get that public record of what license plate went through, that's fine. They don't have the capabilities of running that plate. And so it's just a license plate, like you can see every license plate that's on every car throughout town, so.
Interesting.
Can I just add one thing? On one of the AWC trainings that I had gone to, and I think you and I have had this discussion about the flock cameras, there was a small city that did get, they ended up paying out of court for it because they did get a public disclosure, or somebody wanted to see what was on there, and the police department did not send or tell the flock system that they needed them to keep the stuff, and because it only stays for 30 days and it gets rid of, so they did not let them see the entire, or apparently it was already erased before, and that's why they got sued and had to pay out of court. So as long as you guys, as soon as you get a request.
Public disclosure, you can do that immediately.
Exactly, and that should alleviate any of the,
If somebody requests something that's already gone, so case reports, they get purged every 7 months. The case is different timeline for different cases with that, for the RCWs and the law with that. The public disclosure, that's where my administrative staff takes care of that, and you know, we handle public disclosures very promptly and as fast as we can get them out.
Thanks, chief. City administrator, Sandy Wells.
So we had discussed doing an appraisal review quote from 2 companies. I actually only heard from one. The other one keeps telling me they'll get it done, and I still haven't heard back from them. So the one company that got back to me right away, their appraisal review quote is $2,755 or $50 to review that appraisal. So if we wanna go forward with that, they'll give me a contract, I just need a consensus to go over. We can wait for the second one, I'm just not sure when I'm gonna get that second quote back from them.
And that was for the airport, land purchase.
How much wiggle room do you have?
That's just what he gave me as a quote to review the current appraisal that we.
No, I mean, it's waiting time.
I don't know, cause he
I mean,
told
how
me
much
he'd have
do
it back
we
last
have?
week.
How much do we have?
We
From
can
the
wait as long
airport.
as you want, it's just that, we can't go forward with anything with the land until we get this resolved. So the airport can't go through with their,
I was gonna say, Mayor,
Yeah.
Richard, did you have a comment on that?
As a matter of fact, I did. I thought when this was brought up, it was a really good idea. Simply because it gives me the ability to go back, they can say, oh, well, you have this appraisal, but you found somebody who was giving you the best appraisal for the city, blah, 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 blah. And no matter how much I dance around that, it's nice to have a backup for that. So when Lauren came up with that for an idea, I thought it was a great idea. The second company has had, multiple opportunities to get this bid done. And the fact that they haven't done it tells me maybe they don't do these very often. Maybe know how to do that. So the sooner we get this going, the sooner we can go wrap up all the negotiations.
Yes, Steve.
Can we move forward with what we've got?
yeah, I just needed a consensus that you guys wanted to pay that amount and for that quote, and then I'll bring an agreement the next time for council, once they give it to me.
Anybody else have any input on that, or?
Is that a motion, Steve?
It's not a
It's not
motion,
the
I
Oh,
just
just
the
consent? Okay.
consensus that you guys wanna move forward.
Yeah, okay.
For the
You
agreement.
wanna?
I think we're all,
Andy, good?
yeah.
Okay,
Closing feelings. Okay, I will get ahold of him
take
and
that as
let him know,
consensus.
bring that contract back to you.
I think that was a good plan to go about it that way.
That's all I have.
Great, okay, thanks, Sandy. All right, we'll move on to the next item on the business under council business, and that's the airport manager's agreement review. I'll explain that. Attached is the airport manager's agreement. Under condition 2, the term of this agreement shall be for a 6-month period and then go back to the budget committee for review. The committee would like an itemized list of duties and hours submitted to the city administrator monthly for the 6-month review period. After the 6-month period, the committee will review the salary and hours spent and provide a recommendation to the city council. So following up on that, the budget committee met on November 4th and reviewed the agreement and the submitted duties and hours provided by the airport manager. The budget committee recommendation to the council is to extend his agreement for another 6 months and then have the agreement automatically renew yearly after that. And attached to the agreement is the hours and list of duties and the fiscal impact there.
Mayor, eventually, yeah, we do 6 months, but, the committee, budget committee, mentioned that maybe we do a whole year at a time.
Yeah, that was the budget committee's recommendation. And it's listed in the motion that is listed at the bottom there as well.
Okay.
The reason for the 6 months, from what came up at the budget committee meeting, just to make it a little bit more clear, maybe, is because of all of the real estate stuff that we're doing now and the grants and all of that, and that might get less after the 6 months if we do end up purchasing, or it may end up being more. So that's why we just wanted one more 6-month period. And then after that, just have it automatic renew.
Oh, sorry, Steve, yeah.
I'm a little uneasy about the automatic, just going ahead and hammer it into stone indefinitely thereafter. If you want to do it a year at a time as opposed to 6 months, all right, but I feel it should come up for review on a regular basis
By the council or
by
the,
the council.
Well, it could just be brought up once a year, whatever.
Well, that's what I meant.
Yeah, right, yeah,
That's what I meant. So it's once a year, but at least
yeah.
have the council review it to renew it
Right.
on a yearly basis.
I think that, because it says automatic, I think that we had to renew it anyway. Isn't that what it was?
it does renew, the original land use agreement, I think was a 2-year agreement. But then there is a clause in there that we can write a letter and, cancel the agreement anytime. Or, the airport manager can do that as well. He can withdraw it at any time. It's with I think it's 30 or 60-day notice, but that's how it originally was written up. But yeah, we can do whatever you guys want to do.
But that would be my suggestion, is go ahead and go to a year but don't lock it in indefinitely. Bring it back to the council on a yearly basis for review and renewal.
So anybody's free to make a motion, whether it's the motion listed here or change the motion, that last line that says automatic, and change that to how you see fit.
So how about the budget committee recommendation to the council is to extend his agreement for another 6 months and then yearly after that, rather than saying automatically, just say, and then yearly
And then council
The
review
budget.
yearly.
and then.
With council review
Yeah,
and acceptance.
Was that your motion then, Danielle?
I just want to make sure that everyone's, that we're all.
Okay, the very last,
So.
yeah.
So I move to authorize the mayor to extend the airport manager's agreement for another 6 months at the rate of $1,000 a month, and after the 6-month review. Then the airport manager's contract will need to be reviewed by council yearly and accepted after that.
I guess second to that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great, that passes. All right, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that's an airport update. Airport manager Rick Lundin is here to give us an update on the airport. Thank you, Rick.
Be here. I just got back from the Washington State Community Airport Association Convention up in Leavenworth. That's a 3-day affair and it's just a wealth of information. I'll be sitting down with the advisory committee to work up a game plan. They brought up some really good ideas about how to integrate emergency preparedness at the airport by bringing in the fire departments, Jeff from the emergency operations. A lot of really good information out that came through on that. In addition to that, we had an attorney that presented, and he talked about letters of letters of understanding for operations at the airport. If the DNR wants to take over the airport for some period of time, we should have a letter of understanding that says, here's what you can do, here's what you can't do, and here's what it will cost you.
Mhm.
So we're gonna work that as well. I guess that's the main thing from that part of it. We had the AMR that update that's due. That's the airport master records. I'll work that up with Sandy and with Corley, who's our engineer, and get that submitted. That gets us qualified for airport aid grants, and also doing this phase 1 stuff through the Washington Department of Transportation. All of those folks were at that convention too. And there's a new guy that is running the aid or the grants part of this. And he likes the I's dotted and the D's crossed. We're gonna be spending a little more time getting some of this through, but reasonable guy, just, he's new. So we've got a new layout plan that Dennis Brown, who he and his brother own one of the hangar lots at one of the hangars at the airport. He came up with an idea to put some of the hangars across the east end and eliminate that part of that taxiway so that we'll have the clearances we need. One of the guys is an A&P and airplane and power plant mechanic, and wants to set up a commercial operation. So to do that, to facilitate that, we're gonna want that hangar as close to Fairgrounds Road as possible. It will also help us as we start to gain full control over the property and start closing it up. That will help do that as well. So he would like to build. We got another guy that wants to build. He could be anywhere down there, but we'll pull that together. We're gonna check the clearances and make sure that we're not in any of the taxiway safety areas, et cetera, and that it will truly work. And it would be nice to have 2 brand new hangars go up, and they'll probably do them simultaneously. So, and the other side of that is the ordinance finished. The ordinance is finished being written so that we can actually charge for this stuff.
Where are we at with the ordinances?
It's.
I asked Quinn and he's working on that, cause we have to write the whole ordinance, cause we didn't have one. So he's in the middle of doing that as well. The last time I checked, he said he was still working on that. But I'll get another update from that.
And we also, we also met with Sandy and the mayor and myself met with the planning department, the building department, the safety department. I'm forgetting somebody, but there's a lot going on at the county that could benefit the airport. The way that Gene Callan has sold some of that property that goes from 142 up to the airport. They're gonna do some camping out there. They're gonna put a fuel station out on Fairgrounds Road, and that could benefit us, and that we may be able to talk them into using part of their road for another access in and out. And so I'm just throwing that out there. The courtesy car, which we don't have anymore, is problematic. And I brought this up at the convention, and everybody's got the same concern that our attorney has. It's
Mhm.
like you're trusting, pilots are generally a pretty good bet. It's a pretty good group of folks, but you are, in fact, just cutting it loose and you're insuring the car. So I have a couple of recommendations for insurance companies to talk to. And probably what we're gonna do is we'll have to set up some kind of an LLC and I'm not saying I'm gonna do it, but I probably would do it. And just make it so that the insurance is on an LLC car. The city is not directly involved, but the car is still there. It makes a big difference on how much fuel you sell. If somebody can get here, get into town. I've had multiple people call since we lost the use of the car. And, they're coming up to see their kid play at one of the football games. Well, they can't get there. So they didn't come, they didn't buy any gas, and they didn't stay in a hotel. So it's something we need to solve. But I understand we need to make sure that the city is not liable for that. So we'll come up with a game plan and get you guys to go with it. Let's see, what else do I have? We're hoping to get these hangars going by spring, which is kind of the urgency to get this second review done. What else do we have? Phase one, we're getting all those numbers put together, and we're gonna tomorrow, we're gonna have a conversation with the WashDOT rep for the grants to go over phase one, which was the mitigating the wetlands out there. And et cetera. As far as the state of the airport, we have a beacon light that has half a beacon. We're in the process of getting that fixed. Doug is aware of it and is searching out the solution. The happy lights, I don't know the last time those were aimed. I had the opportunity to fly back from that convention, and as we were coming in, it seemed like it was a little high. So I'm in the process of tracking it down. Not very many records on the last time it was aimed, what it was supposed to be. It's not in our AMR. So I'm gonna get that solved in the next 30 days.
That's the big light that goes around and around.
That's the beacon light.
Oh, yeah.
And that's supposed to, when you see it from the air, it's supposed to look like a white flash, a green flash,
Mhm,
a white flash, et cetera, which tells you it's a general aviation airport.
mhm.
Military airport, beacon lights look different, so you don't land there by accident. And the Pappy light is the two boxes that are side by side. And from Fairgrounds Road, if you look at them, they both look red. But as you're coming in to do a landing, if you're at the right glide slope and elevation, you'll see one set of lights is white and the other set of lights is red. If both sets of lights are white, you're high, and if both sets of lights are red, you're in trouble.
Oh, that's interesting. Never do that.
So, and it puts you down in a specific spot on the runway.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when you hit the ground proximity warning system and pray it works.
Yeah.
It was mentioned that I haven't been talking about the fuel system. We sold 3,200 gallons this year, from January 1 to this morning. And we generally I try to keep it at $1 a gallon in profit. We're a little lower than that right now. We're about 76 cents, simply to stay in the running. Hood River is at 535. The Dallsport is at 535. Washougal's at 549. Lexington's at 525. We're at 550, and then we've got Yakima, Sunnyside, and Troutdale. They're all higher than us. So, we're in there. We're not giving it away, but we're not making as much money as I'd like to do. But I'm getting better at tracking the fuel. We're not still not turning over as much fuel as I'd like to turn over. And the way to achieve that is to have people with hangers, because that's why. That's about it.
Mayor, yeah, I have one question, Richard, I think at one time, the airport committee, briefly, we talked about, when you talk about vehicles, that we would like to have maybe 2 vehicles out there, because there's gonna be more people coming in and maybe they need, more than one party and they need another vehicle. Now, I think at one time, I know we talked to Ron, Rick, that you can get another surplus vehicle for $1. I believe we can do that. And so then we insure them both at the same time. Is that gonna be a little problem or?
It's not, the question is the ownership. I don't think you want the city to own the cars.
Cause we don't
Right.
have the liability.
But when you
That was-
change
that
it,
was-
then we,
That's the concern that I've heard.
okay, but then if we change the ownership to the airport, then is that considered another?
You own the airport.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm just trying to get it cheap here where we can,
Our
Another-
insurance company doesn't, they strongly again. Does not like to have an airport car.
oh, okay, okay.
And I had a conversation with them because the car did stop working. And so I had a conversation with our insurance company. But they said because you don't know who's driving it, you don't know where they're going, you don't know if they have a valid driver's license. There was some heavily concerns about having a car that nobody is keeping track of who's using it.
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
Making sure it's properly insured. I mean, the last thing you'd wanna have happen is a car accident and then come to find out a car that the city owns wasn't insured for the,
Well, it's, and
Purposes.
also the drivers, if the drivers have a valid license, if they
yeah.
do anything in it, the city's liable. So, because they're using our car.
Yeah, Steve.
But you say by forming this LLC, we would be able to address that.
We could, it's one of the solutions
Oh, we got more.
that they came up with. No, it's all of the small community airports are having the same issue. You really need a courtesy car. I flew a little cub across the country. Every airport that I stopped at had a courtesy car. And it made it so you could go drive into town and get lunch. You could go stay at a hotel overnight and then get back in the plane and fly out in the morning. And you always buy gas and you pay a tie down fee.
Yeah.
It's just an extra way to generate revenue. And since we don't have Uber, we don't have
Yeah.
taxis, we don't have anything. If you,
Mhm.
Be honest.
Oh, Theon, yeah.
So quick question, I was, you got me thinking about, rental cars. I don't know, how much parking area is there gonna be up there, and what if, could we get an enterprise or some sort of rental agency to like set up like a car kiosk where they check out on their own? And when they have to return it full of gas, similar things. If they want to decline the insurance we provide, then they can use their own insurance. You understand where I'm going with that?
I do, but that assumes that they're gonna wanna provide the hardware, and take the risk, because they also don't have anybody here to, look them in the eye and say, let me see your driver's license. Oh, I declined the insurance, I don't need it, I've got my own. Well, maybe yes, maybe no. Like I said, pilots are generally a pretty good bet, but I understand the risk mitigation.
Yeah.
And I've got 2 insurance companies that I haven't called yet that apparently are more friendly in this particular niche, and so, I'm following up with them.
Yeah. Mayor, the whole idea is, the airport is service the city or the community, and we want to try to make it convenient as possible for them to come in and land and spend money in the city and also buy fuel. That's the whole idea of doing this. And that's why we really, hopefully we can get this resolved with a cheap solution.
Absolutely.
I have a
And
question. So is there any word about the hot air balloon people coming back next year? Have you heard anything from them?
They were thrilled. And that was on the way out. They were absolutely thrilled to be
Okay.
here. They really liked it. When I talked to them, they were coming back. So.
Good.
Gonna pursue that.
Good.
yeah, Steve,
One more question, the $64 question. When do you see the airport being self-sustaining?
Probably a ways out. I was stunned that, Dallasport isn't self-sustaining at this point. They're still working to get self-sustaining. We're doing a lot lower level of enterprise, and it depends on how much the city wants to get involved. Washington State Department of Transportation has a CARB loan that the city could borrow money, build hangars, collect all the rents, and it would more than cover the payments on the CARB loan. And that's how you start generating money. That's how Dallasport is making money. They're building hangars and they're collecting the rent. We're gonna do land leases to start with, which is, I mean, it's a good start, but that's not how we're gonna make money. We're gonna make money by making sure that we have letters of understanding with any agency that wants to use the airport, that we increase the fuel sales, and that we collect rents on hangars. I mean, that's how you make money.
Good start.
Yeah,
Good start. Well, we work with what we got.
yeah.
You gotta spend money to make money sometimes, so.
And as long as it's self-supporting, that's a key thing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Greg.
thanks, Rick. Anybody else have any questions? Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Appreciate it.
Right.
Okay, great. Well, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda under resolutions. Resolution number 748, the regular tax levy for the 2026 budget.
I move to approve the resolution number 748, establishing the regular tax levy for 2026 budget.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution 748. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, item on, next up is ordinance. Ordinance number 1549, adopting the budget for 2026. And, here you'll find attached the draft 2026 budget, which includes an appropriation spending plan for operation and maintenance of the city's facilities and capital outlays.
I move to accept the ordinance, the 2026 budget for its first reading.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept ordinance for the 2026 budget for its first reading. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda then, report of officers. And we'll start over here on this side with Mylan Walling.
Oh, well, thank you, Mayor. Right now, I think we're moving along very well, and maybe in December meeting, I'll make some comments, but I'll pass tonight. So.
Okay, thank you, Mylan. Danielle,
I have nothing.
Andy?
The only thing I have is light pollution in Golden Dale. I know, there's been issues in the past, and I'm trying to figure out, is there a way how we're, policing that, I guess you could say?
We do have a light pollution ordinance that is enforced by code enforcement.
Yeah.
Particularly in new construction type stuff, it's kind of hard to get existing light polluters to abide by it, but yeah, we have that ordinance on the book.
Okay. I just been noticing more and more in town, there's a lot of lighting that people are just, it's well, it's not in the city limits, but Republic Services have their lights on at their building.
Mhm.
And it is a eyesore from the observatory. I noticed that, I think it was Wednesday, we were up there for that documentary.
Mhm.
And it is a complete eyesore down there. The light is just shining straight up on the observatory hill. I know it's out of the city limits, but it's an example of how bad it's getting in town, so. But there's a lot of areas I drive around at night sometimes and you can just see all the lights that are just, it's pointing up and out and.
Maybe
I don't
just a call to them could,
Yeah, I
They may
think we
need to
need
be
to
aware.
do some more awareness of that, cause it's getting pretty bad.
Yeah, appreciate it, yeah. Okay, and Lauren Megger.
No comment.
Dion, did you have a report?
No, I don't have a report, but I've been asked by a few people, when the events committee is gonna close out, their application for tourism funds. Would
Okay,
that be-
those are, right, the applications for that is due at the end of this month. And then, at the beginning of the year, the events committee will meet, to go over all the applications like normal. And, do the recommendations to council on that.
Okay, I'll
But at
remind
the
everyone.
end- at the end of November is the deadline to have those applications turned in, if that was the question.
Is that November 30th? Or would be the week
Yeah.
before that, right? You guys are closed on the.
Well, yeah, it would
It says
be-
it on the form.
Yeah, it says it on the.
It
form.
has it on the form, so if they just get the form, it'll have it on there.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, thank you.
thanks, Sam. Steve, Justin.
I'd just like to follow up on Andy's suggestion there. And I mean, it's obvious to all of us, we have this, a dark sky ordinance, we'll call it an ordinance. I noticed you're taking some notes, you're gonna look into it. If that is just particularly for the city of Goldendale, within the city limits, that would be, I would suggest finding out that, how wide that reaches actually, because as everybody knows, we have almost as much development just outside the city limits as we have in the city limits.
Mhm.
And the one entity that he mentioned, yeah, sure, it's outside. So how far reaching is the influence of that dark sky?
I could print off the city ordinance for you, but the city ordinance only pertains to inside city limits. Now, I'd have to look into it, but I did hear tell that the county also has an ordinance. I have never read theirs, but I could look into that. I'm not sure about that.
Okay, that's gonna shake that down.
Yeah.
And just one other thing, I noticed they're coming along pretty good on the Darwin Street project.
Yes.
Dustin will have a report on the next council for that project.
Okay, I'll save my
Nothing.
question for him.
Yeah, he'll be here at the December 1st meeting, to discuss all the projects, the ones that are wrapped up and the ones that are still ongoing, the Darlin Street particularly.
It specifically has to do with the curb design. Well, more curb light by the time we have our next meeting.
Is it the rolled curb or is it
They're
the,
doing that round curve, the rounded curve again, and they swear we had discussed this with some prior projects where that rounded curve costs
yeah.
more. Is it necessary where you're not gonna have any off-street parking? And they're going rounded curve all the way through. I'd like to know why, because we have discussed it. And he should be aware of it. I'd like to know why they decided to go with the rounded curve.
We can get those answers.
that's been brought up,
That's it.
that's been brought up a few times and it's
Yeah.
been mentioned by him a few times that it costs more. So
But it lasts longer. Was that the?
I don't remember.
Really? Excellent. No,
Yeah, I'll give them a heads up about that in advance and, yeah.
thank you.
We'll get that answered.
Okay.
We'll get that answered.
I know you go.
All right, and all I have is, thanks to the budget committee, they met several times to go over this budget, did a lot of work, and the council and the workshop that we had was really good, and thanks to everybody that worked so hard on this budget and getting that done. One thing I wanted to mention is last Thursday, I was invited to attend a viewing of a documentary that they had up at the observatory called These Sacred Hills. And it was a documentary that was created and featured members of the local Rock Creek Band of the Yakima Nation. And it was just a really informative documentary. I learned a lot about their culture and history and concerns. And so if you ever get a chance to watch that documentary, I would encourage you to do so. And I'd like to thank the Rock Creek Band of the Yakima Nation for inviting me to that and being so welcoming. And it was just a really good experience. And so that's all I had. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda then. Open public comment. Is there anybody here that would like to make a public comment? Any topic? Roger, did you have a public comment? Please state your name and area of residency, please.
Oh, it's Roger Nichols from the Dalles, all the way to the miracle of modern electronics coming to you. I just wanted to mention the fact that I don't know how many of you are up on the fact that there's this giant proposal to send this huge electric power line in the bottom of the Columbia River from the Big Eddy power station near the Dalles to a PGE station on the other side of Portland. It would climb out around the Bonneville Dam on the Washington side. And this is apparently a rare, real thing. To me, electricity and water is not a good combination, but they've been doing this apparently so long. There's actually a 475-mile line between North Britain and Denmark, so it can be done. Anyway, they were having an information meeting for Klickitat County Wednesday night at 5 o'clock at the Mountain View Grange in White Salmon. If anybody's interested, they'll have plans and whatnot. This is the third hearing that FSEC is holding this week. Not a lot of notice for this, so I want to make sure that anybody that wants to have the chance to get there. They did one tonight in Washougal and one tomorrow night in Stevenson. So anyway, just an informational thing for you.
Thank you, Roger. Appreciate it. Anybody else like to make a public comment? No other hands are up on the screen. All right, we'll move on, close public comment and move on to the next item. Adjournment. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for adjournment. If there anybody like to talk about that?
Yeah, there we are.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everyone.
Thank
You're gonna do it?
you, Roger.
I figure whenever I'm off city